evolving consciousness story is what he talks about. And he says that there are four, and I'll go through them really quickly, that there's your pre-encounter phase.
Yes.
And that basically means that's when you're in happy bliss, you're black, but it doesn't mean nothing, you're not different to anyone else, you're the same as everybody else, everything's crisp. You then have your encounter moment, which is what you might call your oh shit moment. So if someone calls you out of your name, you then realise that you are African and that you are different, and that somehow you are now recognising that you are separate and other. From that then, some people will go into what they call an immersion phase. And what that basically means is, similar to what a lot of people have talked about here, looking into their culture, trying to find out about black history, learning languages, teaching their children languages. If they never paid attention to Black History Month before, they're doing it now. So all of those things that are trying to culturally assert yourself, you become immersed in that. It's your thoughts, you're conscious of it, you do it very actively. And then he says that the fourth and final stage is internalization. And what that basically means is, you are an African. You do and be and think as an African, and it is now part of your conscious and subconscious thought. What we find is that a lot of us move between the immersion and the internalization stage. So whilst we want to be and want to feel African, and we're hoping that consciously we're doing that, there's always a thing in the back of our minds that has to make us check ourselves, and then we again go into this immersion phase. So when someone says, well, and I'm going to quote the young man, maybe I'm being naive, all it means is it's a different stage in his evolving consciousness story. Just like I'm at a different stage in my evolving consciousness story. So what we have to do is recognise, as I think the lady said before, that we're all at different stages, and that collectively we're all going to be at different stages. And what we want to do is hopefully, as a brother at the back said, is collectively get together so we can build a legacy that's positive to pass on to our children. So what we don't want to do is, no bruv, you're wrong, and yes fam, you're right. It's just, you're at a different place than me.
Alright. Again as well, it's a quick one, I won't draw on. Regards, I'll let you have a sister afterwards. Yeah, what I want to also say is that, is your hand up? Oh, sorry. Careful now, can you do that? No, again, what I even do is that, like, there's a lot of shops like, you have Nubian Natural, you have Pempanzi, you have... Oh, sorry. Is that a question? No, you've got, like I said, various shops that you have. And trust me, please, get a little 10 or 20 quid, you'd be amazed. Just run down there and see all these DVDs you can find. Because what I do, get the DVDs and burn them. And like I said, just burn them and give them out. Just give them out, because you'll be surprised. A lot of people are unaware. I mean, we shouldn't even be chopping down each other's throat. We just, at least we were aware of what was going on. But as I said, there's a lot of people that ain't aware. So, you know, go to visit these shops. There's even a shop opposite Nubian Natural. They've just opened called Ohini Boutique. I was like, wow, where did this come from? All African clothes with a, you know, with a, I'm going to call it Western because it's ours again, but, you know, it's got a concept which is now, I'd say, fashionable, but it's got an African twist with it, which is, all, you know, which is good. You know, and if you go and check out ValenciaHill.com, again, there's another collective fashion, clothing, African clothing. So again, it's just all these little things. We need to just program. Like, I've said this, what Dr. Ben said this, and I love it. He said, the Caucasian man, his epitome of beauty is the blonde hair, blue eyes. It wasn't Hitler made up. They've all been doing it. Yeah. So the black man, you need to condition yourself at that black, what do they call this now again? What do they call this? TV. Right. Flat screen. These flat screen. Yeah. Black like that. We got to look at that as beauty. And all shades with it. You understand what I'm trying to say? Because as I said, in our society, as black people, in Africa, there's 7 melanites. So that means that, so a lot of us people think that if there's lighter versions, that means we have to have white in us. No. There's 7 melanites, and if you go and do the studies in genetics, there is a lot of range of black people of all different colour. And they're us arguing about what colour is better. the Caucasian man sees us all the same. So don't get it twisted. So we got to realise that's another colour fascination. I think the gentleman in the corner was mentioning that we need to eradicate.
Yeah, yeah. Just following on from what the sister was saying, because before the break, I actually wanted to answer the brother's question in terms of what purpose. I think the question was, what purpose does blame or acknowledgement serve? Yeah, is that what you was asking? Yeah. And I want to throw away the word blame because of the connotation associated with it. Blame is something that children do. It was him, miss, and it was her. And we're dealing with something that is a lot deeper than that, and we get these terms get put on us to basically what's the word? Belittle our own suffering. Yeah, and it's not about blame. That's why I use the word acknowledgement. This is what was done, and this is who done it. Yeah. Now, in order to illustrate why it's important, I'm gonna try and simplify it in terms of an individual who has suffered abuse. Yeah. Any form of abuse that an individual suffers, and let's use rape as an example. Yeah, because I think most people understand rape. Yeah. When a rape victim is looking to heal from that, what they've been through, they have to acknowledge what they went through. Yeah, they have to understand what actually happened to them, what took place, and sometimes that involves them confronting the person who actually did it. Sometimes, not all the time, but even if they don't do that, they have to acknowledge what was done to them, what they experienced, what it was, and then they have to analyze what happened and the effect that it had on them. So how is that experience manifested itself in my behavior, how I'm thinking, how I'm acting at the moment? You understand what I'm saying? And then they have to go through the process of readdressing that. So now these are the symptoms that are developed as a result of this negative experience, this traumatic experience, because our oppression has been traumatic, and the trauma has been, perpetuated from generation to generation to generation. And so now what we're dealing with as a people, if you understand it, that we are a people who have been collectively raped, yeah, for thousands of years. We're talking about before slavery, we're talking about invasions, you understand what I'm saying? And so as a part of healing that, we have to address what was actually done to us. And it's impossible to do that without addressing the people who did it. It's impossible. You can't separate the two, because it was people that did it to, or if you want to call them people, that did it to people. It's a reality. And it's an aspect of us being responsible for ourselves, understanding that, and therefore trying to address it. I keep saying you cannot solve, talk about solutions, yeah? Part of the solution is having a proper analysis of the problem. You have to have you have to know what you're trying to solve before you can solve it. It just makes sense. Someone say, and it's not as simple as just going to Africa, because Africa is owned by them too. Just what I'm saying, if you go to Africa, the same with them can take your house, the Queen can take your house here, they can do it over there. Why? Because they own the land, they own the natural resources. I know what you're saying, and we do need to do it, but they own it over there. And so really and truly, like, what was done to us was never done to anybody else. So that's why Asians and stuff like that can
Solution.
Yeah, exactly. It's what I'm coming to right now. What was done to us was never done to them. In the sense that they came over here, but they still had their culture, they still spoke their languages. So they had a cohesion that we was ripped from already. And so the first point of call for us is for us to get to know ourselves, our culture. Yes. I got taught what you were speaking about in a slightly different way. I got taught about the five. My father was talking about the 5 stages of consciousness. Yes. And the first stage is awareness. You become aware of who you are and yourself. Yeah. Then you internalize that. You know what I'm saying? And that internalization brings forth a transformation. Yes. Then you transform from something into something else. Once you're transformed, you begin to manifest that which you've internalized, and once you manifest it, then you should be able to proclaim to others what you have been manifesting. Yeah, so therefore you're able to teach others. You understand what I'm saying? That comes to what you're saying. We're all at different stages, and that's why all I wanted to do is really answer the brother's question. Nice. We have to understand what we went through, really and truly. It's real serious.
Fantastic.
Shakara is very correct when it comes to what's happening in Africa. I mean, going back to what the brother in the green polo shirt there said. Yeah, I've got a business in Ghana. I plan to move back in a few years. Very soon you're going to see me here no more. But I am very clear on the fact that, yeah, the British, the Chinese, whatever you want to call it, foreign powers, own Africa, and they own Ghana, maybe even in particular, perhaps. Now, but I want to be back there just to be with my people, etc., etc., etc. But the thing we have to keep in mind as well, going on the war point, is when people talk about, oh, you're going to talk about we're at war again, then they think about if you want to call it the negative things of being at war. Oh, they're going to talk about going to get a gun and shoot white people, what else? Now, when people talk about black people going to get guns and revolt, revolution and all that, yeah, I get worried because we're not organised. I'm worried that we'll start killing each other and all that kind of thing. But we've got to remember about war that doesn't get talked about too much in certain circles here. It's not just people dying that happens in war.
In the university that passed this, and they actually had paperwork going around. This is, I'm talking about 2 years ago, of how Bofra actually put in Caucasian women into South Africa because they affected the diseases and so forth. Okay, right, and so to affect them. Now I was just looking at this, as I said before. So you know, you kind of read things, you think, right, that might be a bit.
They were called sex mercenary squad.
Thank you, sex mercenary squad. So I was looking at this thinking, you know, you sometimes think, oh, these people ain't really that bad, because my consciousness was very different. So again, now looking at it,